Hey you, welcome to Wasted Audio. Today we're going to have a look at Plugdata version 0.9.2 and its new compiled mode features. If you haven't watched our introduction to Plugdata and compiled mode, you should definitely watch this video first. One of the more exciting features of this release is the ability to build and flash devices based on the OWL board. Openware Laboratory is an open source, open hardware embedded audio platform similar to Daisy. It can be used to create a variety of devices and programmed using various languages and frameworks. The Heavy compiler already included support for OWL, but you had to use a web service which was not always available and it was no longer receiving updates. But now we can program the OWL directly from Plugdata. So here we have an example patch for the OWL. It uses the special @OWL designation for routing parameters, but otherwise it works pretty much the same as the regular @heavyparam. So the integrated toolchain has support for all three types of OWL boards. And you can export the source, just the binary, load it directly into the device, or store it in one of 15 slots. And slot 0 is reserved for loading. So here in my little URAC case, I have the Befaco Leech. This one has an OWL3 board, but it can also load OWL2 patches. Right now, it's running a port of our basic delay plugin. So let's load our OWL example onto the Leech. We have TV control. And there you go. Now you can export your PD patches to the OWL straight from Plugdata. Another really cool feature is that we can connect the toolchain to the mscripten software development kit. Using this, it's possible to export the patch to WebAssembly, which allows us to run it inside of a web browser. You will need to supply your own install of EMSDK, as it would be much too big to include into our standard toolchain. So here we have a patch from our JavaScript examples, and if we go to the compile menu, we now see that we have a WebAssembly tab, and you can fill in the path to your EMSDK. So if we export this, we have to give it a target directory. In this case, I'll create a new chip2. And here the toolchain sets up the whole EMSDK path, and it'll start exporting the code and converting it to WebAssembly. Okay, it's finished. Let me quickly run a local web server. Open a web browser. And here we now see automatically generated web page. We can start the WebAssembly build. We can randomize our parameters, and we can trigger the event, which in this case generates an interesting sound effect. So there you go. Now you know how to export your PD patches to WebAssembly. Finally, there is Daisy. Even though we had implemented MIDI in the Daisy generator in the past, there were some serious issues that made it very unstable. Fortunately, we got some help from the Lecturesmith team and Nick from Infrasonic Audio. So now both MIDI input and output seem to be rock solid. So here we have our example patch that we also used on the Daisy and in our DPF plugins in the past. We received note input on channel 1. And now we also receive notes on channel 9, which is the drum channel. And then on each trigger, we also send the value to the onboard LEDs. So here you can see 3 drum channels that are also showing on the Daisy. And it responds really well. Of course, we can also play our notes. ratchets work really well. So there you go. I hope you will also start using MIDI on the Daisy. I hope these new features make you excited about the upcoming Plugdata release. If you want to help with testing, you can always download the latest release candidate or nightly build. We can always use more feedback about further improvements. And if you like this kind of content, I hope you consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel and our efforts with a heavy compiler, you can buy our plugins that were actually created using this setup, or you can become a GitHub sponsor or a Patreon member. Patreon members can join our Discord, get behind the scenes updates, or even free access to our plugins. Shout out to everyone supporting us so far. Alright, see you soon and take care.